in the early days, I remember reading that you played, Dire Straits played in clubs, in little pubs, little
Yeah,
pubs,
we played in pubs. It was a big pub circuit.
at a low volume, not too much volume.
Well, wouldn't have been as loud as it became.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it'd be little rooms, maybe
Mm.
200 people tops, or
Yeah.
you know, 300 people was a big, 500 people was a big gig. You
Wow.
know, so, but there were plenty of gigs like that. And as
Yeah.
I said before, you know, those
Mm.
venues, as we call them now, they're just disappearing
Yeah.
rapidly. London,
Yeah.
it's too much real estate in London now. You can't have a club that's just
Mm.
that people sell it and make money, and it's turned into accommodation
Mm.
or some sort of commercial property. You know, to
Mm.
have have a pub where they do, and gigs are just becoming, you know,
Mm.
far fewer and far between. You know, live
Yeah.
gigs. There's not so much opportunity now, even in London, as the studios are closing as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're different times. You know, you have to be a bit more creative about how you go about, you know,
Yeah.
making people aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, I think recently, Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton talked about these pubs, live clubs closing. So they were talking about promoting new new venues to play in,
Venues,
because yeah,
venues.
venues. Excuse me, venues. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm all for it, but you
Mm,
know, it's very difficult to
mm,
stop the bus.
yeah,
Yes. Very difficult. Very difficult. And in that speaking, you said about I left my trousers, my clothes, and you have to buy
Yeah,
new. Yes,
yeah.
and it's very not funny, but remember that kind of situations on tour, because I can imagine that in
mm,
that early days touring must be very crazy. I understand must be so much difficult than now. So maybe you have a different funny stories about that kind of travels or crazy times
Oh
in other
yeah. Well, we
countries.
once we traveled when we travelled in America. There was probably about 10 people.
mm,
You know, there's the band and the manager, maybe a sound guy, lighting guy, back backstage guy, you know, a monitor guy, and we had you had what's called sky caps in the American airports,
mm,
whose job they're unionized people who carry your bags into the building, and they expect a tip, you know, and
mm.
we had 10 people, so maybe we had 20 bags, and they expected, you know, something like $5 a bag, you know, and
Yeah.
that starts to get very expensive. So we gave this guy probably about $30, and when he counted the bags as they were going along the conveyor belt and looked at the money, he just pressed stop and put it in reverse. So we'll carry them. We're quite happy to carry them, you know. So there's lots of funny stuff. I met Marianne Faithfull once. Do you know Marianne Faithfull?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
wife.
we met her in a
Yeah.
hotel, and the guy who was the tour manager knew her, and she came over to say hello. And oh, the dogs come say hello, buddy,
Hello.
buddy, buddy, buddy. Um, so Paul, the tour manager, got up and said to, "Oh, Marianne, this is Mark Knopfler. This is Marianne Faithfull. Marianne Faithfull, Mark Knopfler. Oh, so pleased to meet you." And then I was next. I said, "No, Marianne, this is Pickwick Marianne Faithfull." Oh, ditto, ditto. You know the Latin word, ditto.
uh, ditto. Yeah,
Parentheses. Where are we? Where are we there? Where are we? I can't get this right. There we are. There we are.
yeah,
Ditto.
Yes.
ditto.
Quite funny. Um, once when I was in New York recording, I used to walk home
Yeah.
in Manhattan. One of the greengrocers were always open, so I'd go in and buy some fruit.
Mhm.
And I'd given beggars on the street, and
Mm.
you got some change, man. So I gave this guy some some change. And when it came out, another guy said, "You got any change?" And I've just given it all, but here's $1, you know. And the other guy said, "Hey, you only gave me change." You know? I saw, you know, so I said, so I think I swapped the money into their hands.
Yeah.
But and also,
Mm.
I did think sometimes when I was in New York, I thought, you know, I wish I played guitar because it's much more mobile. You know, you don't have to
Mobile, yeah,
play all
you can
drums.
take it everywhere. You can take.
And then I was in a taxi and I could hear these drums, and there was a guy busking in Times Square. You know,
Yeah.
and just basically, and I thought, well, there you are. You know, you're just being lazy. You can move drums around. So it's back to that traveling thing again. You know, if you travel, it opens your mind. You see
Yes.
stuff you don't expect to see.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a musician to travel. You travel anywhere. I think it's better for everybody if you travel. You know, a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yes. And thinking about it, the Dire Straits records, albums,
Yeah.
what's your favorite, or maybe what what can you say about it to try to explain your work in each of them? What do you
Um,
what do you think
I think my
about it?
favourite is probably making movies.
Ah.
I like
Wow.
Skate Away, Romeo and Juliet, and Tunnel of Love.
Yeah.
And I like the sound. We worked very hard on the sound for that record
Uh-huh.
with an engineer. And of course, the first album is really very special. But I didn't listen to it for a long time,
Mm.
you know. And then if I listen to it at all now, it does have an atmosphere about it, which is, you know, very, very special, you know. And it works because it's a very organic record. You know, you can hear all the different sections working together on it, and then the songs are just
Yeah.
very enchanting. Wild West End, Water of Love.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's something in
Hmm.
the story of Sultans of Swing and the atmosphere of Down to the Waterline. It works really well. And second album, I just really like Once Upon a Time in the West.
Mm-hmm.
That was we recorded that in the Bahamas, and I have
Yeah.
fond memories of that. Just because it was, I think, apart from in Italy, it was the first time I recorded abroad, and it's, you know, to have a break and walk out into the sunshine is just fantastic for us.
Yeah.
In England, the weather is just so crap. You know,
Gray. It's cloudy and rainy.
grey. Well, it's not so bad today, but it's you know, winter's coming. So and I like different elements of those albums. You know,
Yeah.
Love Over Gold, and I don't care
Yes.
for those so much. You know, I think it's just took too long to make. Really,
Mm-hmm.
became a labour of, you
Yeah.
know. No, I know what. I don't know what. What's that?
Yes. And the other point of view is that live performance of that songs. For me, it's very interesting about
Yeah.
the drums, about you,
Mm-hmm.
all the bands, of course. But
So you have to
the thing
repeat that,
you
Miguel.
is,
Can you
yes,
repeat that,
I
please? Can you
yes,
repeat the question?
yes. It's about the live performance. So
Yeah.
it's very your live performance change
Mm.
about the drums. I love, for example, the example of News Rock Palace that you recorded on one way, okay, and the live performance
Well, you see,
is
what happens
different
is
and it's
this.
very powerful.
I think the problem is, for me, is that neither David nor John had really clear ideas of what they would play on the record. You know, it goes back to that thing where it's almost like a shock. You know, you play what you've rehearsed,
Mm.
and if there's any element of it in the performance which is, you know, like a mistake or a
Mm.
bad timing or it's out of tune, you know,
Mm.
I don't know, it just knocks your confidence really.
Mm.
So what I'm getting at was that I would have to make a big commitment to
Yeah.
my performance because you couldn't edit drums so easily and you know, acoustic drums. You can do it better now with digital recordings, but analog, when it's tape, it's not so easy to do that. So you have to pretty much have the performance has to be, I don't know, much on the money, I guess, really. And so you're recording the drums with a bass guitar, which probably have mistakes in it. The rhythm guitar is uncertain, and Mark is kind of trying to, work out where he wants to be. He plays a bit of guitar, a bit of lead, sings a couple of words. He's listening, seeing if he's got the feel he wants. So you're the only one that's really making a commitment to tape. They do their commitment later, so you have this thing. It's like almost like the drums are part of the foundation, and people start putting the windows in, and I didn't know you were going to paint it red. They played differently. I didn't know you were having those windows, and I thought you were having different windows in. You got a green roof. You didn't tell me that, because they didn't know. So when you come to play live, you have all this information because you've heard it now. So you have a kind of different conversation because there are different people to have conversations with. So that's how it changes for me. And also, I don't want to be, restricted to what I play on the records. I want to feel like it's a fluid thing. Yes, you have to play the song, and you have to play the way, the way people heard it on the record, but you don't have to have every detail there. You don't have to do every specific thing the same.
Yeah, in fact, I was thinking about Southbound Again. In live version was very different from the album version. Huh?
I haven't heard any live versions. I've only heard the album version, but it would, it would change because it's a blues-based piece. So it will be how you feel on the night as opposed to a song which has a very specific structure and a verse and a chorus. Southbound is just a blues song, really.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
And I was thinking about maybe you played your last gig. If it's okay, my information on 6th of July of 1981 in Luxembourg was maybe your last.
Well, I didn't know it was the last gig. But Miguel,
No?
I wouldn't have known it was the last gig then, because I didn't leave on the 6th of July. We did other stuff. I went to New York and recorded, so it wouldn't have been the last gig in my mind. Looking back, that was the last time I played live. So I don't have any kind of real thoughts about it being the last gig when I was playing.
Yes.
It was just the last gig of a tour, I think.
Yeah.
So it was that, but that was the same for everybody. We get a break now and go home.
Yes. It's not about if you.
I can't help you there.
If you remember something about that, only like a special night, or maybe you have.
No, it wasn't special because the only thing that was special about it was the last night of the tour. We were going home. That's speaking your own bed.
And maybe if I'm not wrong, the night before you played in Werchter and I have a video of that night, and you danced on the stage. You danced in front of Mark. I remember in the intro, Espresso Love. Can you remember that?
Love, wasn't it? I think something was wrong with some of the sound or something. So you have to do something, to fill the gap.
Yeah.
Stuff like that it's not prearranged. When I do this, you do this. That's what I like about it. It's spontaneous, what we call spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's also fun for me to come out because you feel very naked when you come out from behind the drums. So it's good to, I don't know, break down those barriers that you have. You just don't feel like it feels very odd. If you're not behind the drums, you feel like you're not. What am I doing here?
Yeah,
I'm not behind the drums. So just fooling around, really, being a joker.
Yeah, and we like it. We like it. We like
Good.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, so probably you listened to our tribute to Dire Straits.
I heard news, and it's very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
The guitar's got a very authentic sound. Tempo's good. Well done, Miguel. Do you count it in? Do you count it, Miguel? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Do you play the end left-handed?
I play, sorry?
Well, you know the end where the drums are by themselves, yeah?
Yeah, the ending in the live version.
In the song News,
Yes.
Yeah.
the end where you play the drums and nobody
Okay.
else plays, yeah? But do you play left-handed on the hi-hat?
Yes, I
You
try.
try.
I try. Yes, I try. It's very difficult. It's very
Yeah.
But you
difficult.
must persist because that's the only way to get across
Yeah.
for the
Yes.
badum at the end. Although you can't do it otherwise. You know, it's just too awkward.
But you can try. Yes, that's the
Boom.
secret.
It's the badum, the semiquavers, yeah? So the only way to get there is to play left-handed.
Mhm.
Play
Yes.
right-handed, I'm sure you can do it, but it's very awkward. But I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's the guitar sounds very authentic, Angelo,
Yeah. Yeah.
and singing is eerily like Mark. You know,
Ah, yeah.
I find that a little bit odd. But you're a true, so that's what you do. But I one of the things I did post Wire Crates, as we call it, I played with a guy called Dennis LeCorrier, who used to sing with Dr. Hook, an American band who had hits in America and Australia and England in the 70s, I think, early 70s. And I noticed that on this tour I played with him, there was a tribute band that was playing his stuff. And
Yeah.
they were charging more money than he was. So I ran back to tell him, because he's American, you know. And I said to him, Dennis, you know how Americans have trouble with the word ironic? Let me tell you a story. And I told him that there was a band playing his stuff on the same circuit, almost the same towns where he was playing, but they were charging more money. And you were the real thing, but they were the tribute, charging more money. And I said that my son, that my friend, is irony.
Okay. Irony.
But it's good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
You listen to
Yeah.
some other as well.
Yeah. We.
Fun stuff, but news is particularly sort of
Yeah.
easy because it's very naked. You know, you hear the
Yeah.
guitar, you hear the voice, you hear the drums. Everybody gets a little bit of. There's
Yeah.
lots of space in news.
We
So you
recorded
get
at
to hear
home.
what's going on. It's
Yeah.
also very. It's also a good test of people playing because there's nowhere to hide. You
Yeah.
understand?
In fact.
When nobody's playing, you can hide a little bit. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's difficult
There's
to
nowhere
play
to hide in that song. So,
as a quartet.
yeah, it's good. Well done.
Yeah. Thanks. It's
Thank
nice
you so
to
much.
pay homage with respect to the artist. So, you know. So we enjoy that you like our work.
Non ti preoccupare, Angelo.
Oh, don't worry. Thank you, Pic. So
Thanks a lot.
me and Miguel. Miguel, can you ask the last question about people happy in the shows?
Yes. And I'm thinking about that. I try to think about Pic's mind, thinking about his career. And my last question is, I don't know if it's easy or difficult, but it's about how do you feel? How do you feel knowing that a lot of people, generations, parents, grandparents, grandsons, a lot of people feel happy listening you and listening your band.
Well, I'm very
How-
flattered. You understand the
How
word
is
flattered?
yes?
I'm very flattered, you know.
Flattered,
Okay.
yeah,
Flattered.
yeah,
It's just very touching, you know, that
Yeah.
people, because basically when you begin to play, you make a record, it's not just for your mum and dad. You want people to buy it, you know, to identify with it. And that has happened really beyond my kind of wildest dreams, you know. So I'm very touched by that,
yeah.
you know. it's nice to know that people like it. It's nice to know that people also take the time to say that they like the drums, because normally the drummer is just lost in the ensemble, you know, and it's all about the guitar solo and things. But so that's I'm really touched by that, and I'm very, very thankful. It's nice.
Yeah.
Nice question, Miguel. I don't know how I can answer it without, you know, straying into areas of feeling big-headed or something. But you know, I'm very, as we say, very humble.
Mm.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, and we are very touched to talk to you, because I never imagined to talk to you one day, you know.
Yes.
I've been listening to your drum sounds, to the Dire Straits, since I was 16 years old. Now I'm from 76. I was born in 76, so
Okay. I thought you were
you know.
76 years old.
No. Oh, I look young. I look young. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an honor. Yeah, honor to be talking to you. Okay.
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. È stato un piacere, Angelo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grazie mille. Grazie mille.
No, niente, niente. E Forza Roma.
Forza Roma. Oh, ma io vivo nel sud. I live in South Italy.
Sì, sì,
You
dove?
know, you know the Brindisi.
Sì, sì.
Yeah, I live in Lecce. Is a town in the
Oh,
hill,
yeah, yeah.
in the
Serie
hill of.
B.
Yeah.
Serie B. Io
That's
soltanto
great.
segue Serie A.
Ah,
No,
sì.
guarda, sai che quest'anno io sto guardando ai risultati della Spezia,
Ah, la Spezia.
perché sono arrivati in Serie A per la prima volta, no?
Ah,
Sì,
ok.
la Spezia, carina, carina.
Ti piace il calcio? Il gioco del calcio?
Uh-huh.
Sì, questi giorni no, prima sì, adesso guadagno troppi soldi, no? No, dai, no. È brutto quando guadagni soldi così for kicking a football.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Mi
It's
piace,
crazy.
mi piace. Quello che dici mi piace, quello che dici.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Great.
So,
It's a great ending.
you are very funny guy and talented guy, and it's a pleasure. It's one of the best days in my life talking to you.
Oh, Angelo, please.
Yeah. It's
Thank you.
it's the
I look
truth.
forward to meeting you both. Okay.
Yeah, we hope.
Thank
We hope.
you.
Okay.
Yes.
Ciao a tutti, eh?
Do you have a final message to all the followers of Brothers in Band, the Dire Straits show? A message for people?
Thank you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a fan of Dire Straits, because I do think the music has some kind of value beyond what popular music is, or represents. So thanks again for watching, and don't forget to look out for Slim Pickings, not Pickens.
Hey, Slim Pickings, and we will be online for sure, watching you playing.
Okay.
So send us every detail for to participate in this event. I will.
It'll be there. Pick with us official. Pick with us official.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Ciao.
And thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
Linda. Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.